Football is a simple game. 22 people chase a ball for 90 minutes, everyone argues about the referee, one midfielder points at absolutely nothing. And in the end, geography wins. Welcome to the 2026 World Cup. 48 teams, 3 host countries, 16 host cities. One giant tournament spread across Canada, the United States, and Mexico, which is less like organizing a football competition and more like asking a bunch of exhausted athletes to complete a geography exam while sprinting. This World Cup is not just bigger, it is wider, hotter, messier, more humid, more stretched out, and much harder to explain with a normal map. Somewhere, right now, there is probably a midfielder from Northern Europe looking around and asking, why am I playing football inside a toaster? And that brings us to the most controversial tactical innovation of this World Cup. Not the false nine, not the high press, not the inverted fullback, which is what happens when a normal fullback goes through a philosophy degree. No, the tactical innovation is water. Yes, water. The thing you drink, the thing you spill on your shirt, the thing goalkeepers spray into their mouths and somehow miss completely. At this World Cup, hydration breaks have become a major talking point. Around minute 22, the match stops. Around minute 67, the match stops again. 3 minutes each. Enough time to drink, breathe, cool down, and completely panic about your left back. And people are divided. Some say, this is good, it protects the players. Others say, no, this interrupts the soul of football. And broadcasters are standing quietly in a corner, pretending they are not extremely interested in 3-minute pauses full of advertising. But the real story is bigger than the water break. The real story is that the World Cup is being played across a continent-sized puzzle. Canada gives us Vancouver and Toronto. Mexico gives us Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey. The United States gives us everything from Miami humidity to Dallas heat to Seattle clouds to indoor stadiums where the weather is technically defeated by architecture. That is not one tournament climate, that is a weather buffet. And every team walks through it wearing football boots, play in a hot southern city, fly across time zones, play somewhere cooler, then a knockout match where the air feels like soup. And football hates this. Football likes a rhythm. Football likes patterns. Football likes the illusion that 11 players move together because of tactical genius and not because they are all desperately trying to not collapse. Football likes players who can sprint without their lungs feeling a formal complaint. But heat changes football. It changes pressing. It changes passing. It changes the way players make decisions. It changes how brave a fullback feels about running 80 meters down the wing just to cross the ball into absolutely nobody. In cool weather, that run is ambition. In extreme heat, that run is a group decision to suffer. Think of Kylian Mbappé in cool weather. That first sprint is a weapon. Now run it back in Texas afternoon. And even the fastest man on the pitch starts doing the maths on every burst. So in normal conditions, a high press is aggressive. The striker runs at the center back. The wingers jump the fullbacks. The midfield squeezes up. Everyone is connected. It is beautiful. It is organized chaos. It is football pretending to be geometry. But in extreme heat, a high press becomes expensive. Every sprint costs more. Every recovery run hurts more. Every time your midfielder chases a loose ball, His internal battery drops from 70% to please replace me. So teams become careful. The high press becomes a medium press. The medium block becomes a low block. And the counterattack becomes please not now. This is why weather is tactical. It is not background while the football happens in front. The weather is part of the match. The sun is marking your defensive midfielder. Humidity is pressing your center backs. Altitude is sitting in midfield, controlling the tempo. And your left back is somewhere near the touchline, looking like he has just discovered mortality. Now, here is where hydration breaks get interesting, because they are not just water breaks, they are tiny tactical meetings disguised as health policy. Football normally has no timeouts. You cannot stop a match because your midfield is confused. You cannot pause because your center backs keep passing to the other team. You cannot call everyone over and say, gentlemen, our current plan appears to be sadness. In basketball, coaches call timeouts. In American football, the sport is basically 70% timeout. But in football, you usually just suffer poetically. That is part of the drama. The match flows, momentum builds, a team gets tired, another smells blood, the crowd gets louder, the mistakes get bigger. The manager waves his arms like an inflatable tubman outside a car dealership. And then, normally, you just have to survive. But now, at minute 22 and minute 67, every coach gets a reset button. Before 22, survive the opening chaos. After 22, adjust the press. Before 67, manage fatigue. After 67, throw the last plan at the wall and hope it sticks. And suddenly, water is not just water. Water is structure. Water is tempo. Water is tactics. But then comes the fairness problem. Imagine if only hot matches had hydration breaks. Team A plays in brutal heat. 2 pauses, 2 chances to reorganize. Team B plays in a cool stadium. No pauses, no meetings, just vibes and suffering. Now both teams sit in the same group table, separated by 1 goal, 1 yellow card, or just 1 exhausted defender who forgot how legs work. Is that fair? Not really. So the breaks become mandatory everywhere. Same rule, every match. Even if one stadium is boiling and another feels perfectly fine. And that creates a very strange football reality. The rule is equal, but the conditions are not. Every team is playing the same World Cup, but not necessarily the same planet. And this matters more because it's a 48 team World Cup. 12 groups of 4. Top 2 go through. So do the 8 past third place teams. Which means tiny advantages matter. Goal difference matters. Fatigue matters. Discipline matters. One let go can decide your whole tournament. Just imagine finishing third because in the final 20 minutes, your team was chasing the ball in brutal humidity. Your midfield disappeared. Your fullback became a statue. Your goalkeeper started seeing mirages. That is not just tactics, that is geography wearing football socks. And this is the uncomfortable lesson of 2026. Football is not played in a vacuum. It is played in cities, in climates, in time zones. It is played in stadiums with roofs and without, cities with humidity, cities with altitude, cities where the sun seems to have personal issues with your defensive shape. And most importantly, it is played in bodies, human bodies, bodies that get tired, bodies that overheat, bodies that eventually say nope. So the best teams at this World Cup won't just need talent, they will need rotation, energy management, smarter pressing triggers, players who know when not to run. Which sounds lazy, but is actually elite football intelligence. Look at how Messi conserves energy. He walks, he watches, he reads the game, and then, in one moment, he decides everything. Cristiano Ronaldo built an entire career on the opposite obsession: recovery, hydration, fitness. This is the man who once shoved two Coca Cola bottles aside and shouted, Agua, at a press conference. In a tournament about water, somewhere he is feeling deeply validated. Because sometimes the smallest tactical move is not a through ball, not a high press, not an inverted fullback appearing in the midfield like a confused accountant. Sometimes the smartest tactical move is drinking water while your coach yells at a magnetic board. So, why does the 2026 World Cup have water breaks? Because it got bigger, because it crossed three countries, because North America in summer is not one climate, because heat changes football, because fairness gets complicated when some teams play in a sauna and others play in a fridge, and because geography has officially entered the chat. The beautiful game is still beautiful. It is just sweating more now. Welcome to Rod's Pitch. The beautiful game explained one drawing and one suspicious arrow at a time. Subscribe for more football geography, tactical chaos, and maps that absolutely should not be trusted by professional cartographers.